Welcome to Fox Hills Black Report, your daily source for Black news, views, and opinions. Happy Friday. Today is August 12th, and I'm Mimi Brown.
And I'm Romeo.
I'm Demi Lobo. And on today's report, we have an update on the status of Brittany Griner's release from Russia. As talks of a prisoner swap begin, will this be the answer to getting her safely returned to the United States? Meanwhile, it turns out it was more than just documents being searched for during the raid on Monday's search at Donald Trump's Mar-A-Lago residence. It might have included weapons, and we're going to give you more details on that. Soulmates, what is monkeypox? The question that many of us have, and we have Dr. Noel Reed here to answer all of your burning questions about the virus as cases across the nation intensify.
Plus, ladies, getting a snatch waist might be easier than you think. We have Lisa Tinker back with more workout moves and tips to get your sculptured waist. And it's Friday, so you know we have to look at this week's hottest topics with a little side eye. And today we got comedian Kareem Green going to be hanging out with us. We have all of that and so much more. This is our voice and our truth, so let's get it.
Good afternoon. We start today with news on Brittany Griner. Now, Russia is confirming that prisoner exchange negotiations are taking place with the U.S. The potential deal would free WNBA star Brittany Griner and former Marine Paul Whelan. Now, Griner was arrested in February and sentenced last week to 9 years in prison. She was found guilty of bringing vape cartridges with cannabis oil into Moscow. Now, Whelan, he was arrested back in Moscow in 2018, and he's accused of espionage. This is actually really good news because for the first time, Russia is confirming that they are in talks with the United States to bring Brittany Griner back home. So this is really good news because before we were kind of reporting it and we weren't hearing from Russia. And so the foreign minister of Russia, he's confirming that there's a channel that has been set up between President Biden and Russia's President Putin to discuss how that would look like. And so we'll just have to wait and see. But People magazine, they did a very interesting article on what her life would look like behind bars. So in Russia, there are over, they call them penal colonies, and they house over 60,000 women inside of them. So there are about 35 of them. The cells, they're about 11 feet of private space, with most of the cells holding anywhere from 40 to 60 women who sleep on bunk beds. We don't know which one Brittany is at, but what they're reporting is that she's being held at a detention cell within one of those penal codes. So basically, she hasn't been put into general population yet. So basically what they're hoping is that they can get these talks going, and once they get these talks going, she'll stay in that detention cell until maybe she comes home to the U.S. and she doesn't have to go into one of those penal codes with all those other women.
Yeah.
So.
This was really interesting. There's a story on NPR. I saw this late last night, and I thought it was pretty fascinating, that said typically Washington, like Washington, D.C. and the president, they've done prisoner swaps before with Moscow for years. So prisoner swaps is not something that's a new thing, but typically it was spies for spies. So like you spies are usually those who were doing prisoner swaps. So this is kind of new if you think about it, doing a prisoner swap for a WNBA player for Russian dealers and all of the other whatever they're all in jail for. And so they said that it was usually a man's game. So this is something new territory. So I think that that's also another reason why it's going to take just a little bit longer, because again, like we said, what Brittany Griner did compared to all the other people that are getting swapped out, no comparison at all. So I think that everyone's kind of trying to figure out, how does this make sense and how do we make this all happen, because it typically doesn't work this way.
You're right. And she's been locked up since February 17th, so we're talking about close to 6 months, right, over there. And I wonder how this is going to play out. I feel like it's going to play out in her favor. She will eventually come home. The fact that they're admitting there's conversation now, they're talking about prisoner swap. But what does this do for Brittany Griner when she does come back? Obviously, she was not able to play this season. Will she go back over? Because that's where she makes most of her money, since she doesn't get the same amount of money with the WNBA. How will she approach life after getting back home to the United States? So we'll see about that. But I'm excited that the conversations are actually real instead of just one side reporting it. And like I said, 6 months is still a long time to be away from your family, to be in a place you're very uncomfortable with. And that does things to you physically and mentally, right?
I don't see her ever stepping foot on Russian soil again, but I do think what this will do is it will open conversations about gender gap, the pay within the WNBA and the pay within the NBA, and kind of open those channels and see why women are having to risk their lives to go and play for a different country when, those in the NBA are making what? Not even triple, just
maybe 250,000.
a lot more, So I think we'll see those conversations happen once she is back on the U.S. soil.
Real quick, a friend of mine, I said, I don't see her going back either. He's like, well, what if she still get a chance to make $1 million or $2 million? And, people over here have done crimes before, and they continue to work in this country. So I don't know.
Yeah, if I were her, I would not even step foot back on, like you said, Russian soil. I would definitely get my agents to renegotiate my
Elsewhere,
deal.
huh?
Yes, to renegotiate my deal. And also, too, although it was a negative story, this has also opened up a lot of people's eyes to the WNBA, because there are a lot of people that did not even think about the WNBA. So there were not positives. We'll say they're positives once she gets back home. So she'll be able to use, hopefully, some bargaining power as well, and get a better deal.
Correct.
Like LeBron James has outside of the NBA. Yeah, get that money. All right, so the Washington Post is reporting that documents related to nuclear weapons were among items that the FBI was looking for at President Trump's home during Monday's search of his Mar-A-Lago residence. The Department of Justice has not commented on the Post story and other news related to the search of the president's home. Now, the Department of Justice is moving to unseal the warrant that it used during the search for former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. That happened earlier this week, soulmates. Now, Attorney General Merrick Garland, he addressed the search today in the first official statements about the FBI search. It is extremely unusual for the DOJ to comment on ongoing investigations. However, the search has caused a flood of harsh and even violent rhetoric from the former president's supporters.
All Americans are entitled to the even-handed application of the law, to due process of the law, and to the presumption of innocence. Much of our work is by necessity conducted out of the public eye. We do that to protect the constitutional rights of all Americans and to protect the integrity of our investigation.
All week, Trump's allies pressured the Justice Department to explain the basis of the search warrant. Neither the FBI or the DOJ have explained why the search was conducted.
Meanwhile, almost half of voters support the FBI's execution of the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago. A new Morning Consult political poll found 49% of registered voters approved of the Department of Justice actions, while 68% of Democrats support the raid. Only 7% of Republicans think it was the right thing to do. 63% of Republicans say the execution of the search warrant was an abuse of power.
And someone paid a nice chunk of change to apparently take great pleasure in the former president's misfortune. Take a look at this plane flying over Mar-a-Lago Wednesday night. And more importantly, though, check out the banner trailing behind it. It says, ha ha, ha ha ha. No word on who paid for the flight.
The FBI is still trying to confirm a motive for Thursday's attack on the Bureau's office in Cincinnati. Officers shot and killed 42-year-old Ricky Schiffer. Now, police do say that the man who was armed and wearing body armor tried to break into the FBI field office after setting off alarms. Now, the man reportedly led cops on a chase. After a long standoff, police do say that they shot him when he raised a weapon. Authorities say that the man may have had ties with the Proud Boys white supremacist group. They also said that someone with this same name wrote a post on Truth Social, Donald Trump's social media site, calling for patriots to go to Florida to kill FBI agents shortly after the Bureau raided Mar-a-Lago. We talked about this as well. There have been so many Republicans and so many of Trump's supporters that have been outraged that Trump's $1 million Mar-a-Lago estate was raided. He's going to be fine, just like he's been for a very long time. These people on the ground, those who don't have Secret Service around them and don't have a lot of the actual power that Donald Trump has, those are the ones that should be a little bit more scary, because here you are fighting for an imaginary fight for a man who is going to get off on majority of his charges, as he's been, and then, look at what happens here. You think that you're going to get away and you have armor and all that stuff, but especially if it's the same person that was on Truth Social, they're not playing around.
Yeah, so the guy he posted, apparently he was a regular user on Truth Social, and right when this chase was going down, he posted during the chase, and he said, well, I thought I had a way through bulletproof glass, and I didn't. So if you don't hear from me, it's true. I tried attacking the FBI. So yeah, you know, he made this post. He thought he was, I don't know what he thought he was doing, standing up for Trump and the Mar-A-Lago raid, and ended up, like you said, Demi, not working out so well for the people on the ground. And that's almost the scary part, is that the people on the ground think that they're taking arms and that they're fighting for a cause, and all they're doing is putting themselves in harm's way and getting killed.
Agree. We're hoping more Trump supporters don't come out and try and do this, defend a fight that's really not a fight. I mean, at the end of the day, they've already taken 15 boxes out of his house. So what does that say about the situation right now? So we'll see what the total outcome will be on this. All right, Stacey Abrams is putting pressure on black men to vote for her. Now, the Georgia gubernatorial hopeful says she will win her November race against Governor Brian Kemp if she gets overwhelming support from African-American men. Right now, Abrams is pulling around 90% with black female voters in the state. That's compared to 80% from black men. When she lost to Kemp in 2018 by 55,000 votes, Abrams had 97% of black women supporting her, and 88% of African-American men. A recent poll has Kemp up by 5 points over Abrams. We know this has been a tight race. We know it's going to go down to the wire, but, you know, part of her campaign, her slogan should be, why shouldn't you, or why wouldn't you vote for me?
Yeah. I like that. Or call Romeo.
That's right.
Governor, calling her Governor Abrams already.
I got you.
All right, so there's a viral video of an African-American police officer making a rough arrest of a black woman in an Atlanta park that has people coming up with mixed reaction. Take a look, soulmates.
I need you to back up.
You don't need to touch her like that.
She's not putting her hands behind her back.
I'm asking a question. All I'm doing is
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind you. You're under arrest. Put your hands behind your back.
Can you please tell me why I'm being arrested? Oh my God! I'm so sick. My God, please, in the name of Jesus, please, God, in the name. Why am I being arrested, Mr. Brooks? I'm going to sign a ticket. Mr. Brooks, why am I being arrested? Why am I being arrested? I don't understand why I'm being arrested.
The Atlanta Police Department released the entire 1-hour video of the incident. The video shows a couple in the Shady Valley Park shortly after midnight on Monday. Now, the long-form video shows the woman, who is not identified, initially refusing to sign the citation before being in the park after hours. The cop warns her he will arrest her if she does not sign the citation. When he grabs her arm, the woman then says she will sign it, but the officer said it was too late and he was taking her in, and that's when he wrestles her down to the ground. This has been all over social media. There are a lot of mixed reactions here. I think when we first saw this video, she released just a portion of the video, which is what we played for you, and then yesterday, the Atlanta PD, they came out and they released the entire hour, which shows the officer asking her to sign the citation. She asked for his badge number. He gave her the badge number twice. She had a little bit of an attitude. He warned her. He said, hey, if you don't sign this, I'm going to arrest you. And that's what we see in the video. So some people are like, listen, she should have signed it. And other people are like, he didn't have to arrest her. He could have literally just gave them a warning and asked them to leave the park.
He could have given them a warning. Yes, apparently the park rules are to not be there after the park closes. And so we also have to, at some point, take our own accountability for certain things. Not to say that this police officer was right, because I will never say that this police officer was right, but also we can't do things that are that we know are against the grain, right?
Yeah,
I'll say not against the law, right? The law. Thank you, Romeo. Against the grain, against the law, and then put up framed pieces to get outraged without giving the full scope. Maybe, and I'm happy that you said that everyone was outraged. We were just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. That it's just like, hey, we don't know how this, before we get upset at this police officer, we don't know how this would have turned out if you just signed the citation. You weren't getting arrested. It was a citation to sign, maybe some money, maybe just a,
Appear in court or something. Right. We don't know.
So,
but
the way that this turned out was because, hey, just take the citation and go. You get a ticket, you get pulled over. Now, there are cases where police force, it does escalate where it is not needed. But in some cases also, we have to look back and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I should have I could have
done things a little differently.
I agree. Look, for a citation, and then to see the taser in his hand, it almost got to that point. So, yeah, we'll keep you posted on that situation.